Okay, so we were practicing on how we can write these things in slope-intercept form. And we're going to still keep doing that, but there's a really important form called standard form. And standard form is written like this. A times x plus b times y equals c. Now, a, b, and c have to be integers. And remember, integers are positive and negative whole numbers, no fractions, no decimals. The other thing that can't happen is a, the coefficient of x, whatever that number is not negative. So whatever number is in front of x is the coefficient, is attached to the x. This one right here, it has to be an integer, but it's not negative. It has to be a positive number. This can be negative, this can be negative, a can't be negative. So for example, something in standard form would be, I don't know, 4x plus 6y equals 15. I don't know, but that's standard form. Okay, integer, integer, integer. They could be negative too, but this one has to be positive. Okay, so for your homework, you're going to be writing it in slope-intercept form and then turning it into standard form, and that's what we're going to work on right now. Okay, so look at this line right here, and it says, okay, write an equation that represents the line shown. Okay, we've been doing that. Remember, what we're looking for is something in the form of y equals m times x plus b. We need a slope and a y-intercept. Okay, well, very easily I can pick out my y-intercept. That's going to be 2 because it's hitting the y-axis. Here's my y-axis at 0, 2. So I know what b is. Now you got to figure out your slope. Well, if I pick a point on the line, I'm going to rise 3 badly. I'm going to rise 3 and run 1. Okay, and if I pick this point down here, I'm going to rise 3, run 1, rise 3, run 1. So my slope is going to be 3 over 1, which is just 3, times x plus my y-intercept, which is 2. Write this a little neater. Okay, so great. That's what it is written in slope-intercept form. But here's the second part. Using the properties of equality to change the equation. Basically, guys, we're just going to manipulate it and move things around. And it's going to be using all those properties that we learned before. Whatever you do to one side, do the other. If it's adding, you subtract. If it's multiplying, you divide. All those things. From slope-intercept form to standard form, where a, b, and c are integers and a is not negative. Hey, this is what we just wrote up here. Okay? So this is new, but you already know how to do it. Okay? So I'm going to take this equation right here. Y equals, try that again. Y equals 3 times x plus 2. And that's where my focus is going to be right now. I need to get x and y together on the left side. And then I'll worry about the integers. Okay, so remember, here's my equal sign if you want to put those lines in. I have y on the left side. I just got to get the x over there. So if I want to move get rid of the x term on the right, I'm going to subtract it because it's a positive 3x. But whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to subtract 3x over here. I wish I could really draw a straight line with this. Okay. These are not like terms. We can't put them together. So I'm going to say y plus a negative 3x. You could say y minus 3x equals 3x's, take away 3x's is gone, 2. Not standard form yet. You know, our commutative property says we can switch these around. So I'm going to change this order. And I'm going to write negative 3x plus y equals 2. And I'm really, really close to standard form. Because remember, we have a number times x plus a number times y equals a constant number, c. Constant, an integer. negative 3 times x plus 1y equals 2. But right here, a is not negative, and right now my a is negative. Easy fix though. If this is negative 3 and I want to make it a positive 3, I just have to multiply it by a negative 1. Except, remember, whatever you do to one term, you got to do to all of it. So I need to go negative 1 times negative 3x, which is a positive 3x. Plus sign, plus sign. Negative 1 times y is going to be negative 1y equals, and don't forget, we have to go over here too, negative 1 times 2, which is a negative 2. Okay? So you can write it like this, with or without the 1 in here, right? Or, if you don't like this negative y here, you could say 3x minus y equals 2. Okay, that works as well. Okay, that is what you're going to be doing on your homework. You're going to combine what we did in the last video of writing it in slope-intercept form and then turning it into standard form. A couple more examples. And you're going to see we're doing the same thing over and over. We start by writing this in slope-intercept form. So here's my line. It's declining from left to right, so I know that my slope is going to be negative. So I'm going to pick 2 points in the line. I don't know, here's this one, maybe to this one. And I'm going down 2 and to the right 3. Down 2 to the right 3. So my slope is a negative 2 over 3. Again, slope. Y-intercept, well, it's hitting right here at 0, 1. So my y-intercept is that number 1. Okay, awesome. I'm sorry, negative 1. It's hitting at negative 1. I hope you caught that. It was a test. Okay. Okay, now that we have the negative 1 there, perfect. We've written it in slope-intercept form. Now the same thing down here. We want to change this into standard form. So I bring down y equals negative 2/3 times x plus a negative 1. And same as before, I want to get my x and y term together on the left side. So I'm going to get rid of it here on the right, move it over here to the left. So I'm going to add 2/3 x to both sides. Now, remember, adding is commutative, right? We can change the order. So I don't have to say y plus 2/3 x. I can say 2/3 x plus y. And that's what I'm going to do to save some time. And now over here, that all cancels to give me 0, and that equals a negative 1. All right, so if you can get to this part, great. We only have to do one more thing because this looks great. It's really close to being in standard form, but remember, standard form, A, B, and C, those numbers have to be integers, positive and negative whole numbers, and A cannot be negative. So if we come all the way back down here, I have a 1 here for the y, this negative 1 here for the c is fine, but we have this 2/3 we have to deal with. So just like the hint I had given you before with input-output tables, really pay attention to your denominator, okay? Whatever your denominator is, multiply that by the number. So there's my hint, okay? Whatever your denominator is, multiply by that number. Here's why. If I multiply this and use my distributive property, 3 times 2/3, 3 over 1 times 2/3, those 3's cancel, and I'm just left with 2x. Positive 2x, yay, plus, go 3 times y, you get 3y, equals, and then don't forget, whatever you do to one side, you gotta do the other. 3 times a negative 1 is a negative 3. There, 2x plus 3y equals negative 3. Again, 2, 3, and negative 3 are integers, and the coefficient of a here, the coefficient of x, I'm sorry, is positive. Okay, let's try one more example. Okay, slope-intercept form, we start there. It's easiest to start there. Our slope times x plus our b. Okay, so if I look at this line here, I can see that my b is just 0. Awesome, so I'm adding 0. What is my slope? Well, I'm going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So it's just 1. 1 over 1 is just 1, okay? Or we really can just write this as y equals x, because 1x plus 0. But anyway, let's take this y equals 1x plus 0 and let's put that in standard form. Okay, don't be intimidated when we start getting zeros and everything or ones thinking this doesn't work. Works the same. I want to get the x term onto the left side, so I'm going to subtract it. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Again, I don't have to go y plus negative 1x. I can think of this as negative 1x plus y. Okay, if you did y plus a negative 1x, then you could just use the commutative property to switch it. Equals, well, 1x and I take away 1x is 0, equals 0. That's okay. 0 is an integer. It can equal 0. Now, remember, we're so close here. Integer, that one that we don't write is integer. Negative 1's an integer, but it can't be negative. So don't overthink it. What can we multiply negative 1 by to make it positive? Another negative 1. And then using our distributive property, negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1x. I'm just going to write x plus, use the distributive property here, negative 1 times y is a negative 1y, or just negative y, equals, and we have to take this negative 1 and multiply it by 0. It still gives us 0. Okay, so you could write it like that, or you could go x minus y equals 0. Okay. Two forms, slope-intercept form and change it into standard form. And our focus is really changing that into standard form right now. And as I scroll all the way up here, remember our rules for standard form. Our coefficients and what it equals here have to be integers, and that coefficient of x cannot be negative.